West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
I haven't heard that one before. I love that one.
8 a.m. in the
warning
Mile
level.
High City on this Friday, August 29th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Bill, I don't know if you know this, but I am the GOAT.
You are the oh yes, everybody, you've got to join us on the videos. Do the X's, the Rumbles, the YouTubes, whatever the hell it is.
Do you know what kind of animal this is?
You've got to see this. All I know is that Jeff is rocking what is a spectacular Hawaiian shirt. Now, again, for those of us that are just joining us audiologically, it is in shades of blues and greens, kind of a turquoise-ish. There's kind of a sea green, not really sea foam. There's still kind of a little emerald in there as well. And then prominently displayed on this wonderful Hawaiian shirt are goats. Large goats. In fact, the shirt is designed so well that right across Jeff's chest, it is one beautiful goat.
It's a Nigerian dwarf.
Okay, more questions. Why?
That's the name of the goat. That's the breed.
Oh, so it's
Nigerian dwarf goats.
So why in the world does Jeff Hunt have a Nigerian dwarf goat Hawaiian shirt?
That's what we raise.
Oh, so those are the goats that go crazy on the ranch.
Yeah, these are the goats at the Hunt Family Ranch, Nigerian dwarf goats.
Now, why Nigerian dwarf goats, since a lot of us aren't in the goating realm?
Bill, let me help you understand our little hobby ranch.
Yes.
Okay, we're not a big operation ranch.
No, you are not. You are not.
And there are 3 types of goats you can have.
Okay.
Meat goats, which you raise to sell for meat.
Nom nom.
Milking goats that you raise to milk. And then you have goats that are pets. Guess which one we have?
The pets?
Yep. They don't do anything. They don't do anything. They live such a wonderful life.
Oh, my God.
At the Hunt Family Ranch.
Great. Oh, that is fantastic.
They get fed. They walk around. They jump around. They're happy little goats.
That's fantastic.
And they're not used for anything.
Oh, my gosh. See, that's basically you've done with the goats what I've done with my snakes. Because my snakes don't do any pest control. They don't do anything that regular snakes do. They just sit there. The difference is you had to have acres and acres where I just took over a wall in their house.
Yeah, that's right.
I just was more efficient on my space usage. That's all. That's all it is. Oh, that's amazing. That is a spectacular shirt.
Anytime I even raise the question of how these goats are going to financially provide for our family, it becomes how would you ever take one of these goats away from our family?
Yeah, why don't
they
you?
Are part of our life.
Yes. May have had the same conversation with my lovely bride as well about questions about the snakes as to whether or not I'm getting an excessive collection of snakes. And what you have to understand is if you're in the reptile hobby, I have a perfectly reasonable number of snakes. If you are not in the reptile hobby, I have an outrageous number of snakes that nobody needs in their lifetime. Yeah, that's basically how it works, yes. I love it.
We've got a lot to talk about this hour. Mikey Johnston did an AMA on Reddit that's Ask Me Anything. And one of the issues he brought up was Trump deploying National Guard troops to Denver. In order to tackle crime and the chaos that's taking place here.
On a side note, with that AMA, I'm a little upset. I didn't get through all the AMAs, and some of them, of course, don't make it. But I am always upset that in any, doesn't matter what realm it is, politics, music, it doesn't matter, during the AMAs, why there isn't someone that's of our generation that would say, boxers or briefs.
Yeah, like question. Actually discuss stuff that's interesting.
But that's the Clinton question from Arsenio Hall. So just because that was kind of the Ask Me Anything with Clinton, just because of that callback, I'm just disappointed that doesn't appear. It's telling me that I'm getting less and less relevant in my cultural references. Kind of disappointed. But someone should ask that.
You are getting older.
Am I ever?
All right.
It hurts. A lot of things are sore that shouldn't be sore, and I'm mad about it.
We're going to get into Mikey Johnston's AMA. Troops might be coming to Denver. All of that this hour. Now is time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good morning, TGIF 63 and mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 80 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story.
The people of Colorado, they didn't win here. I mean, there's going to be $153 million in new taxes next year. They're going to cut the general fund spending. I mean, they're going to raise it by $103 million. And the taxpayer Bill of Rights took a beating because so many of these bills just circumvented the Constitution, basically, when it circumvented the taxpayer Bill of Rights.
Assistant Minority Leader Ty Winter on the show last hour. Under Democrats, i.e. commies here in Colorado, the legislature, they pass this garbage and then they assume it's constitutional. But if you want to litigate it, well, guess what? You have to foot the bill and pay the attorneys. Takes forever. And the commie-crats, hey, they just raise your taxes as Polis takes a bow because he'll be making cuts to cover the $750 million hole.
We're talking about $798 million of taxes over the next 3 years, and then they cut businesses. So they took away business tax credits, they changed tax structure for business, and they said that they were going after the big guy to protect the little guy, and then they turn around the next day and they sell tax credits to the big guy. So nothing was consistent, nothing made sense, and unfortunately the people of Colorado came out losing. But here's the deal. The House Republicans fought, and we fought hard. We gave it what we could. They silenced us quite a few times.
We have great conservatives in the state, but now we need more to join these patriots in the fight and support them. The trans man who changed his name from Robert to Robin and murdered 2 children and injured over a dozen others was a former student at the Catholic school. His mother worked at the church and has reportedly hired a criminal defense attorney or attorneys and not cooperating with police. Jeff's friend, a pastor in Minneapolis, arrived right after the shootings at the church. Cesar Castellanos was on the show last hour with Jeff and Billy.
These children were my kids' ages, and just seeing the response of parents. Another thing that I then posted on my social media was I was looking at all the police that were posted at all the doors. There was no active threat at that point, but police were everywhere, and the sheriffs were everywhere. The SWAT team was going about the building. The FBI agents were there, and I could tell which agents, police officers, and sheriffs had children.
Oh, I believe it. Heroes that go into those situations. AAA says drivers are urged to travel before noon today, early tomorrow, and Sunday morning to avoid the worst traffic this Labor Day weekend. Gas prices are at their lowest levels since 2020. If you are coming home on Monday, you may want to leave early in the morning to avoid that traffic also. DIA is also going to be, of course, very, very busy. DJT's Labor Secretary this morning with great news.
We've added 500,000 new jobs since the president took office, and I think that that's key. All of those native-born jobs were really focused on the American men and women of this country who built this country, and that's what we're honoring on Labor Day, is understanding that for the last 250 years, this economy has grown. America has grown at the hands of the men and women of this country, and so it's exciting to be.
Very exciting to be part of that. Human remains found near Superior have been identified as a man reported missing earlier this year. The family of 34-year-old Paul Aragon said his last contact was in late April. His dog was found inside his truck in Broomfield on May 2nd. DJT is revoking Kamala Khan's Secret Service protection on September 1st Former VPs are automatically granted 6 months of protection after leaving office. She's preparing to kick off the high-profile book tour coinciding with the release of her memoir.
So excited.
107 days.
Do you think Dan
Can't
Quayle,
wait to read that.
Does Dan Quayle still have Secret Service protection?
You know what? I've seen him a couple of times at celebrity golf tournaments.
Have you?
And, well, this is like 15, 20 years ago. So he did at that time, but I think they were private, honestly.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't. He was funny, man. It was pretty funny because he would joke about the potato misspelling, and everyone knows him for that. But yeah, I think they were private, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, I get it. After 6 months, she doesn't need it.
Yeah, I don't know what the like kidnappers would be able to get out of a country for kidnapping a vice president.
Especially her.
We have Dan Quayle. Or we have Dick Cheney, and I think the government would just shrug.
You know what's funny is we always forget all those vice presidents who actually ran for VP. I mean, it's hard to remember the ones who lost. It's hard to remember who the vice presidents were. Also,
the one like Tim Kaine.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
Exactly.
Joe Lieberman,
no doubt, man. Oh my goodness, Bob Dole,
John Kerry, I think wasn't he a VP?
I think he was too. Maybe? Yeah, there are some names you're like, wait a minute, is that a fake name or did that really happen?
So close yet so far.
That's
from the
right.
Presidency.
Exactly. College football last night.
Quarterback Caden Anderson has played effectively tonight. He threw that bubble screen. That is caught. Head to the house. Touchdown. Chris Durr, Wyoming. They needed one big play, and Caden Anderson and Chris Durr.
They hook up and they win it 10-0. That's all they needed in that one. There was rain in Ohio at Akron, one of the great nicknames of all time, the Zips, and Wyoming is 1-0. And tonight, CU, they play host to Georgia Tech at Folsom Field, 6 o'clock kickoff. Tomorrow, CSU at Washington. Air Force plays host to Bucknell. 57 in Parker, 56 in Boulder, 59 in Denver. You know what? It's actually warmer than that. I think it's 63 in Denver. Yeah, 63 in Denver and 61 in Boulder. And Parker has about 62 degrees. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Deep moisture remains over the Front Range in eastern Colorado Plains. So for today, we're still going to have a very good chance of afternoon and evening thunderstorms, Saturday as well, before things dry out Sunday and Monday. Afternoon and evening thunderstorms, upper 70s and low 80s today. Afternoon and evening thunderstorms Saturday, upper 70s, near 80 and sunny on Sunday, 80s for Labor Day Monday. Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist on day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Gabe, in the text messages, always raised a good question that I think about all the time are those fainting goats. Now, we don't have the fainting goats, but those goats that get scared and then stiffen up and fall over.
Yeah.
How that's a species that I go, you know, Darwin's evolution of the species doesn't make sense with them because they wouldn't have lasted one generation. How they're goats that fall over when they get scared. So if you're a predator, it's a free meal.
Well, now this is awful to think about it, but as far as evolutionary biology, you know that classic joke that, hey, you know, if you and I go hiking in the woods and we come across a bear, I don't have to outrun the bear, I just have to outrun you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. That's the evolutionary biology, is that the goat that freezes and gets eaten allows the predators to stop and lets everybody else get away. While it is imperfect and stupid, yeah, but there's a lot of those. There are a lot of imperfect, stupid things that happen inside of nature. Yes, a lot of them. Yes, and I watched way too many documentaries.
Mary in Wyoming had 4 Nigerian goats, had to leave them in Colorado. She couldn't board them up in Wyoming, but she sent pictures. Look at that.
Oh, how cute. Oh my
Thank
gosh,
you,
look at
Mary
that.
from Wyoming.
Wow, that's
all
really
right,
cool.
Now, Mikey Johnston, mayor of Denver, did an AMA on Reddit. And the debate over deploying National Guard troops in Denver to tackle crime and chaos came to the forefront. President Trump's made it clear he's ready to send in the Guard to restore law and order in cities like ours if local leaders can't get it done. But Denver Mayor Mikey Johnston dodged the question like a pro, saying he's more focused on community-based solutions. God, I hate libs. Which is a non-answer and doesn't see the need for federal boots on the ground. Here's what he wrote. Oh, it's jumping around, blocking it. Okay. The militarization of our cities by President Trump is unprecedented and dangerous. The troops that have led to, I think, 12, 13, 14 days of no murder in Washington, D.C. are dangerous. Just want to put that out there, that's how Democrats think. Okay? The less crime in a major city, less crime is dangerous. All right, he continues. Any first-year law student in America could tell you that deploying the U.S. military on the streets of American cities in times of peace, very peaceful, very, very peaceful city of Denver, to enforce domestic law is clearly illegal. Denver does not need any help from the National Guard. Well, then, who can provide the help, Mayor Mikey? I don't know. There's a lady that her throat slit less than a year ago on the 16th Street Mall. But, Denver doesn't need any help from the National Guard. As we're seeing the largest decrease of violent crime in any top 50 city in the country, we will be prepared to take them to court on day one if they threaten to do so. Bringing in the National Guard to occupy our neighborhoods is never the right way to address change. It only escalates tensions instead of solving problems. Gosh, he is wrong on like every sentence there. I mean, throughout the entire thing. The militarization of our cities is dangerous. The less crime, the safer streets are more dangerous. I can't. Bill, I just... So here's the question I have for you, for our listeners, for everybody. Would you want the National Guard in the city of Denver? Bill?
No, but I wouldn't want them, but probably for different reasons than other people. There's that idea of, if we're saying we're doing this for law enforcement purposes, where else could we use that rationale to use the military to patrol the streets? That's the issue that I've got, that we can't do this without the military. The other problem I have with it is that our U.S. military has, in my mind, proven we are really, really good at winning wars. Not so good at occupation. Not so good at that. And that's the side of the equation we are looking for our military in order to facilitate. That's kind of the problem, is that this is not what they're trained to do. This is not why we spent all this money. This is the job, for me, of civilian law enforcement. And if I'm going to spend my money trying to stop crime by increasing the presence of law enforcement, then I'm going to spend it on the police department. One, because it's local. Two, because it's cheaper. It is much more expensive for me to pay to get a soldier up to speed than it is for me to pay to get a police officer up to speed. It is a bad spend of my tax dollars to have the military come in and enforce laws. I don't agree. Now, in small situations, yes, there is a role there for it, but it is small and it is limited. That is not what our fighting men and women are trained to do, to be police officers. That's not the training. And now to try and fit that square peg into the round hole of now they're going to become some sort of national police force is silly. And I want to know where all you limited government people are that scream all the time. Would you be happy? Because again, and this is the thing that I can't wrap my head around, is I remember during the Obama administration when there were large military exercises, people were scared to death that Obama was going to declare martial law. There were rumors on social media that Obama was going to declare martial law and not leave the office, that he was going to become this dictator and use the military to enforce this, and that's why we had these exercises. And that was just military exercises. And now we have people in the party that were worried about that now advocating for the deployment of troops on American streets for, quote, safety. The same thing they were mad about a decade ago. It's crazy.
Well, I think in that Obama case, clearly overblown. And in this case, that concern also overblown. This is Mikey Johnston's TDS on full display. All right, Mike, take advantage of the opportunity. Flood the zone. You have a city that is facing serious challenges. And a lot of it is rooted in the fact that people don't want to visit the city. Okay? You run around with this big budget shortfall, $200 million budget shortfall. People are being laid off, furloughed, services cut. A lot of it tied to sales tax. You only get sales tax when people buy things, come and visit the restaurants, attend the plays, sporting events, okay? Your economy is tied to that whether you like it or not. All right, Mikey? And you got a perception problem. Flood the zone. The idea that this is going to become a permanent militarized operation in the city of Denver is not true. It's not going to happen. But if you want people with disposable income to come visit your city, they need to feel safe. Flood the zone. Take this opportunity. If you had any brains, Mikey Johnston, you would go President Trump. That sounds like a wonderful idea. We would like a 6-week deployment of National Guard troops. We're going to clean up the streets. We're going to imprison the bad guys. We're going to make this the safest city in the entire West. And then people from Cherry Hills and Cherry Creek, come on down. Have a great time. Take a picture with law enforcement. Enjoy the restaurants. Ride the buses. Have a wonderful time in the safest city. Spend your money. Lo and behold, everything's getting better. But no, the option to have National Guard troops is considered dangerous. Look at the city of Washington, D.C. Even the mayor of the city of Washington, D.C. is having to admit, man, things are getting better there. Does this have to be forever? Are you going to have to go from checkpoint to checkpoint and show ID? No. But flood the zone, make these cities safe. It will help everybody. And the idea that Mayor Mike Johnston labels this idea as dangerous just shows how out of touch he is with our communities. All right. I'm losing my voice. I can hear it go.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Got all worked up over Mayor Mikey Johnston, and my voice is heading out.
Yeah. See, I look
at
at
that's why I need people to call in and have a conversation.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to have to listen to my dumbass for a long time. You don't want any of that. 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. Should we have the National Guard patrolling more streets? And if it is such a good idea, why are those Republican governors that have high crime rates in their cities sending the Guard to D.C. and not doing it in their own states? If this was such a fantastic idea, why are we not seeing it in cities that are in Alabama, that are in Mississippi, that are in Ohio, that have high crime rates? In some cases, higher crime rates than D.C. and higher murder rates than D.C. Yet we're not deploying the National Guard there. If it is such a good idea, then we should see it being done. We're not. This is politicization. And it's odd that when Donald Trump talks about the deployment of the troops, they're all blue cities. That's strange. It's almost as if he has just chosen large population centers or blue cities rather than looking at any sort of crime statistics. Rather than going a rundown of where the crime is happening, he's decided in that already. He's decided it's blue states and blue cities, despite what numbers tell him. That's the other part that I have in this one. This is more about politicization, and this is more about performance than actual law enforcement. Because if it was about law enforcement,
it's about actually taking control, Bill.
Exactly, taking control. Yep, thank you.
From
Thank you. It's
these
authoritarian.
Democrats
I appreciate
who
that.
cannot lead the cities.
Yes, it's authoritarian. I appreciate that.
He is
We're gonna get to
making
that later.
our nation safer. All right, join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Look, you know that living in Colorado means dealing with unpredictable weather. Hail, snow, heavy winds, you name it, we got it. That's why you need a roofing company you can trust, and that's Colorado's Best Roofing. They're local, family-owned, and have served the Denver area for over 12 years. They understand our unique climate and know how to build a roof that lasts. So whether you need a repair after a storm or a whole new roof, Colorado's Best Roofing has got you covered. And here's what I really love. They offer a free, no-obligation inspection. They'll come out, take a look, and give you an honest assessment. There's no pressure, no gimmicks, just straight talk from the pros. Plus, they work with your insurance company to make sure you get the coverage you deserve. So don't wait until the next big storm hits. Give Colorado's Best Roofing a call today at 303-797-ROOF. That's 303-797-7663. Or visit them at roofingcolorado.com. Call 303-797-7663 or go to roofingcolorado.com. Trust the best. Colorado's Best Roofing. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Text messages are hot on this one. Good morning, guys. I'm currently a law enforcement officer in prior military. I don't believe the National Guard should be used. Denver and Colorado as a whole needs to stop demonizing law enforcement. If we were allowed to truly do our jobs without some politician doing everything in their power to handcuff us, we could make the cities we serve safer in just about a week. SB 217 killed the spirit of law enforcement and killed proactive policing in Colorado. Till that is repealed, the problems will always exist.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is. And I think that on the liberal side of the aisle, how they demonized law enforcement during Black Lives Matter has done a huge disservice to their position, their credibility, and also to just law enforcement in general. The way in which they went about demonizing it was incorrect. The idea of defunding the police was stupid. However, I would wonder with the officer, oh, no, that's a conversation for a different day. Don't want to take it in that direction. We're talking about something else. But the idea of where and how we would want to have the most effective law enforcement and what we should focus on. I'm worried that we have our law enforcement officers too often going after the low-hanging fruit, going after something that maybe somebody else could do rather than going after the crime. You know, I want them on the streets preventing the thing like you talked about. I want them down at the 16th Street Mall preventing some lady from getting her throat slashed. I want them to prevent the car thefts. I want them to prevent the murders. I want them to, have time to go down to the apartment building and deal with Tren de Aragua here in Aurora. That's what I want them. That's where they're best trained. That's where I want them to be the tip of the spear. And I think too many times we have them focused on some community side of things that I would love to be able to take off their table, but I'm not certain how to do that. I would love to have a conversation someday about how to effectively have them just be more efficient in their law enforcement time.
8422 texting in. Why can't people see the way we're using the National Guard is just to increase manpower and assist local law enforcement? People like the mayor seem to have absolutely no problem with crime, while calling the National Guard dangerous. The governor, mayor should get involved and study what's actually happening in D.C. right now and use it to learn instead of doing nothing.
There's a question I've got there kind of wrapped up, and maybe you can address it a little bit, Jeff, that if it is a temporary surge in order to quell crime at that instance, why do we not assume that the crime returns once the surge goes away? Now, I may be misapplying theories, but in warfare, we have seen over and over again a surge in activity by military forces doesn't always pay out long term getting to the goals. It seems to be like a tide. As you surge forward, once you retreat, it fills the gap. So that's what I'm curious about is, while we may be doing well now, could the texter be having a point, the idea that it is temporary based on manpower, but when that manpower goes away, why do we assume that the crime would not fill the gap?
Yeah, no, it could, but what this ultimately proves and what it confronts is this kind of liberal, democratic idea of, well, we're always just going to have crime. We're just always going to have to put up with it, and they kind of just hum along and stuff. And what Donald Trump and the Republicans are able to prove is that with strong law enforcement, whether that comes from National Guard or the police themselves, moving forward, you can actually make these cities safe. We don't just have to accept the status quo. So moving forward, get a lot more serious about empowering your law enforcement.
And if that's true, I want to see the Republican governors take the first step. Let me see you dance to the tune you claim to like.
I don't see any problem with sending them in.
I just want to see it.
Yep.
I want to see it first. Otherwise, I'm going to default to this being politics. If we're only playing on this and going to blue cities, I'm going to default to politics. Show me you like this tune enough to get on the dance floor.
Let's go to the phone lines. Joan Lakewood. Good morning, Joan. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing? I'm sorry about your voice, Jeff.
Yeah,
anyway,
all the kids went back to school, and lo and behold, that's what happens. Thank you.
So, I think the reason why he is sending them to Democrat cities and blue cities actually is because they are sanctuary cities. And that makes them kind of in the purview of being against the feds. And so I think he has a better leg to stand on sending them.
Does that make it political then? Not necessarily about crime?
Well, is sanctuary cities political?
Sure, but the idea is, so what I'm asking, though, is he's sending in the military based on politics, not necessarily based on crime. That would basically knock out the legs of the stool of the reasoning behind what he's talking about. So do you agree he's sending this in for politics?
No. He's sending it in because the states are flaunting federal laws. And because they flaunted the federal laws, they have increased crime.
That's not correct. That's not correct.
Well,
Joan, I'm sorry, I'm going to push back. That is not correct. Study after study shows that sanctuary cities do not equate to a higher crime rate.
And here's what you need to hear. Perception, perception, perception. You always throw studies at us, and we don't know where the studies came from, and we don't know the numbers behind them, and we don't know. But what I do know is perception. And here's my perception. You all are, well, the Democrats are really getting some kind of polling that's saying things in Colorado are shifting. And I can prove my perception because last Wednesday you had Steve
What polling
Woodrow.
are you talking about? What polling are you talking about, Joan? You said that you're pointing to polling that the Democrats said. What polling?
Internal polling.
Why should we believe you? You just told me that just because I bring studies, you're not going to believe me. You don't tell me anything, and you just pull out a poll that you say about Democrats. Why should I give you the same grace you're not willing to give me? Why should I believe anything that you're saying when you don't believe what I'm saying? Why should I give you any space on this?
Because of Steve Woodrow on your show on Wednesday. I have never, in this entire 5 years, seen a Democrat representative on your show.
Yep. Kind of different, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're different.
Why,
yeah, because we're different.
Why do you think he came?
Because we're different.
No, he came because there is some real perception problems on the Democrats in Colorado.
No, he came because we're different, because we have both sides on the air, because we talk about it in a different way. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. What other show? Okay, what other conservative show? What other conservative show did he do, Joan? Other than us, what other show did he do? Where did he go talk about this? If he's so worried about it, what other interviews did he do? Okay, prove it to me. What other interviews did he do?
All I know is
I
have testified in front of Steve Woodrow. I know who the man is in the legislature. And he is not somebody who goes and does things unless he's directed to do it.
So, and your personal knowledge of that is how? You've sat and testified, and you know that because of what? Based on what?
Because I've gone down there and testified.
I know, but how did you derive this knowledge that you know who's pulling the strings? You say that someone's pulling the strings of Steve Woodrow. You went down there and testified. How did you derive this knowledge?
Because if you study all of the legislature that he has introduced, it is all Polis's staff generated.
All right.
I disagree with that, but that's okay.
I know. You can disagree with me all you want.
I know. Just like you made up your poll about the Democrats, and you disagree with the polls that I do, because stats and math is hard. I understand.
You know what? You need to stop with the studies, and you need to understand.
Yeah, because math and studies. Yeah, the one thing we shouldn't do, Joan, is look around.
Let her finish. Go ahead, Joan.
It's ridiculous when you say that you have to stop with the studies. Yeah, bringing facts and figures to the table is awkward because sometimes it disagrees with your opinion. I'm sorry. That may be uncomfortable.
Joan, I'll give you the final word. Go ahead.
The reason why the study stuff doesn't work is because it really is perception. Now, a lot of people have said Trump couldn't be re-elected. We had all sorts of polls and studies and all sorts of things about how Trump would never be re-elected. And the problem is the perception of what was going on in our country, that we were losing our country. And maybe we were, and maybe we weren't, but it is all about perception.
And I find it wild that what Mike Johnston labels as dangerous, not the crime, not the woman getting her throat slit, not the murders, not the rapes, not the cars being stolen, but the idea of sending troops to create a community or to make a community safer. That is dangerous. That's the way a Democrat thinks. Joan, appreciate the call. Thanks so much.
Have a good weekend.
Have a good Labor Day. Yeah. All right. I want to bring up this in the AMA too, okay? Because here's another question. He gets asked this question, the mayor of Denver. How can we make downtown more vibrant? Huge sections of it are ghost towns and are empty business parks. How can we encourage more density in our city? I'd love to see more people living downtown and spending their time there. Okay? Here's the mayor's response. And I want to get your thoughts on this as well as our callers. We are very focused on this, and the big strategies are converting empty commercial office buildings into 4,000 new apartments, filling another 3 million of empty office space with new offices. I don't know how you fill empty office space with new offices, but whatever. We're going to add artists.
Change the carpet and you just say new, grand opening. That's all you do.
Yeah. We're going to add artists and nonprofits building great public spaces that activate downtown, like the soccer fields we opened last night and the beer hall at Skyline Park, and adding more art activations to bring music and art and life to downtown to provide just the magnet you mentioned. And important to know, Denver voters passed the expansion of the Downtown Development Authority boundaries last November, which provides $570 million to invest in downtown without raising taxes. A question about that, about the bond, but
a couple
that
sentences
helps
ago,
fund these plans.
Jeff, pause
go
it
ahead.
just for a second. A couple of segments ago, a couple of sentences ago, you said art activations. Is that really what he wrote?
That is exactly what he wrote.
Okay,
and
continue.
adding more art activations.
That's stupid. What does that word mean? I mean, again, he's trying to use, he's trying to speak about this at a 10,000-foot view and not talking about what it is. What is an art activation? What is that? Seriously. I mean, all I'm saying is that this weekend is Labor Day weekend, okay? You listen to the Jeff and Bill show. How many of you are going to turn to your significant other, maybe your kids, and say, hey, downtown they're having a great art activation. Let's get in the car, kids. No. Yeah, no. Just like no one goes shopping for large selection. No one goes shopping to the store. Hey, they hear they have a large selection. Let's go find various models. No. Doesn't work that way. Nobody shops for various models. No. That's it. The art activation is stupid, and he's avoiding the question. The idea of what exactly is art activation, because it's open enough for you and I to interpret it ourselves as to what we want to see, and we color it the space where he should have defined
Bill,
what it is. It's just stupid.
There was a time, and maybe we've just forgotten this, okay?
Yes.
But I want
to
bring us back to there was a time when just about every major office building down there was filled.
Yes.
It was filled, oftentimes with oil and gas executives working hard, and they would go out for happy hour, and they would take lunch meetings, and they would have after work dinner parties, all this stuff, okay? It was a vibrant downtown. In fact, it was called the Wall Street of the West. What we're going to have now, according to Democrat leadership and the current progressive trajectory, is we're going to empty out those office buildings, add 4,000 new apartments, and we're going to fill office space with artists, nonprofits, and we're going to add more art activations.
Yeah.
That's the future, guys. That's the future.
Now, I know you're talking about but oil and gas isn't the only solution. I understand why you hang your head on that.
Right,
but
because at one point it was a big part of what Denver was.
Yeah, but there were lots of other buildings down there and office space filled as well by other industries and other people now. And I think that's part of it as well. Some of that is transitioned out of downtown. In the realm where I live, the idea for that was radio. When I broke into the industry, and I came to Denver, the the radio stations were 90% downtown. They were all located downtown because that's where you had to be. And slowly, they moved out to the tech center. And that was twofold. First was cost. Yeah, just cost in general as far as square footage. Square footage space was much more expensive downtown. The second is exactly cost, and that was primarily parking and transportation. That was much more expensive and much more difficult downtown because based on how the downtown office buildings were built, you had to pay for parking space. Versus in the tech center, where these office buildings had built a large open parking lot that was free. Free is always going to be more attractive to your employer, regardless of what it is. Free is going to win, and free won. And slowly, all of those radio stations have moved outside of downtown and are now located a hop, skip, and a jump away from where we are here at the tech center. And that's where they are, and they've located there for a number of reasons, but primarily, again, cost. And they moved out of it, and that was the cost as well, as there's not a reason to bring the office, the workers back in there. Primarily, at this point, cost per square footage per se. Now it's, they've got a glut of office space right now, so you probably can grab a great deal. But in what Mayor Johnston was doing, I think that converting it to apartments and condos is going to be, while more expensive, your best choice. That's the way to revitalize downtown. You got to get more people down there, get them living there.
Yeah, I see it differently. To me, this is just progressives never willing to actually confront the real problem, which is, and our text messages are full here, people don't want to go downtown. They don't feel safe. It is not a fun, enjoyable experience. Democrats have run oil and gas out of the state. They've run coal out of the state. They've run steel development out of the state. The great industries that provided jobs and made Denver an economic hub. They ran out. Now they don't know what to do, so we're going to go, well, let's just convert these to apartments in a last-ditch effort to try to get people to move downtown, and then we're going to transform these offices into non-profit spaces for artists. All right. Well, join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us at 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Mayor Mikey Johnston laying out his vision for the future of Denver will include the conversion of empty office building spaces into apartments, filling another 3 million of empty office space with new offices. And as Bill pointed out, that's just new carpet, right? How do you fill an empty office with a new office? Lipstick improvements, right?
Yeah, we've all seen that happen where the renters change over in your neighborhood, where the crew comes in and change out some of the appliances that weren't made within the last decade, paint the place, throw down new carpet, new place. Yeah, raise the rent.
And then he's also going to add artists and nonprofits and more art activations.
Now, I got a question for you on that one.
Yes.
Do you think that is a draw or reason for people to come down? I didn't even get to the question. No. I love you.
Not at all.
That's fantastic.
I mean, Bill, because I'm sitting here going, you know what Colorado needed? You know what Denver needed more of?
Yeah.
You know, it's the one thing we were missing. And if we just had it, Bill, it would all come together.
Yes.
Art activations.
Thank you for using the term, too, art activations. I love that. That's what I can't understand is other than more people. And what I mean by that, more people downtown, meaning more rent and more people eating lunch, more people doing the happy hour. If the goal is just to put more bodies down there, then I can see with charities, NGOs, and also art activations. Because now you simply have bodies, but I don't think that increases the commerce, and I don't think that increases the office space rental, which is what your goal is.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can agree with that.
Rich people downtown.
Or at least them feeling safe they can go
Bottom
downtown.
line, the city needs rich people downtown. You need people that have lots of money to spend at fancy restaurants and
slow down.
And offices and hiring people.
Careful
all
with that.
Stuff.
Careful with that because it's, Jeff, that even the Democrats here in the state, lawmakers listen to the show. They don't admit it, but they do.
Oh, I know. It's hilarious.
Yeah, you've just given them an idea. What they're going to do is they're going to rezone Cherry Hills and mandate all of them have to move downtown. That's what they're going to do. Careful.
Right.
Careful with that, my friend.
Force them back out of Cherry Creek and Cherry Hills.
That would be the Democrat solution. Oh, Jeff's right. Let's just force this group of people to go live there. That would be their solution rather than fixing the problem.
Yeah, I'm going to make a video after this show because I'm going to go, you know what Colorado really needed, or what the city of Denver really needed, and just didn't have art activations.
Yes, that's what we needed. We needed more art activations. That's what was missing in the tapestry of Colorado.
And adding law enforcement and National Guard is dangerous.
Great point. Yeah, great point. I disagree. It's not dangerous.
Y'all are screwed in Denver. Sorry. I don't know if I can say that on radio, but you're going to end up with a lot.
At least it wasn't me that said it.
You're going to end up with a lot more art activations and no law enforcement. Congratulations, Denver. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is KNUS.